Hey, welcome everybody to this edition of Center Court with Coach Rusty Walker and David Baliraine. How y'all doing today? What?
Baliraine.
Baliraine.
Yeah.
I said rain.
Okay, that's what we'll say.
Close enough. Hey, I do tell you what, this guy's like 6'5".
Shoot. He's 6'9".
6'9". I mean, you ducked coming through the door, dude. And you intimidated me. So how y'all? Coach, let's start about what do you want to talk about, guy?
Let's talk about basketball.
Okay.
Last week we had Marshall and then Jacksonville.
Yes, sir.
Both games. Marshall game, we was at the ball game. Coach, it couldn't have went better for you all night long. Let's talk about that game, then we'll talk about the Jacksonville game.
Yeah.
Whatever y'all want to do against Marshall, y'all did it. Is that when you have nights like that? Is it hard to just let them go, or did you pull them back?
Well, you're right. A lot of things went well, and it's kind of like you say. Sometimes things are good when they're good, and sometimes you always want them to be good, and that's when you have a night where it's not, and that's how it was at Jacksonville. It was kind of like the tale of two cities. We did everything we wanted on Tuesday night, and then Friday night we started off good, and then everything went bad, and we had to play our tail off the second half to get out of there with a 10-point win, and really proud of our kids and see what we can do Tuesday.
Well, you talked about that, and I love your coaching style on the side. Whenever we win, and it's more laid back. Whenever we get in trouble a little bit, you get a little more animated on the sideline. Do you have to step on the gas a little bit?
We'll
ask David that same question.
There's no clear formula on that. I mean, I'm emotional, probably too emotional at times.
No,
I think most people would say, but we've got an emotional team, and so sometimes I'm just trying to push the right buttons. I'm trying to sometimes get our guys to play with more composure, and then sometimes I've got to hop up and down to kind of get things turned, and you never know if you're doing it the right way until the results happen. So you're just hoping, and anytime you're working with young guys, and I'll say this about our kids, we have a really competitive group. And so most of the time where we maybe come up short in some areas, it's really just maybe frustration over, something we're being competitive and maybe it's not going our way and our guys get a little wound up. The difference is we're starting to have more and more guys that are able to maybe get a little out of sorts and then snap themselves back and go on and finish the game the right way. And that's exciting.
Well, the thing I saw the other night, and I didn't get to see the Jacksonville game, the Marshall game, you was able to rotate, and you couldn't tell number ones from number twos. And when your bench is just as strong as your starting five, that is a luxury. And then you got this guy out there that's throwing everybody's shot in the third row up there. And even when you take David out, you still have help behind him. That has got to be a huge luxury.
There's no doubt. And we're going to go through a little bit of a difference right now for a little while. Cameron McDonald had knee surgery on Wednesday, and he'd been dealing with an injury for really since our first scrimmage. And so he had a little meniscus surgery. We hope to get him back, the first part of January. And we are a deep team, but anytime you take out a critical piece, that does change your depth a little bit from what you're observing. And we're going to have some other guys step up and slide around a little bit, and I think we'll get it figured out. And so, it's nice to have a deep team.
Well, let's talk about the team. I got David here, David Baliraine. I don't know. You're not called a center anymore, are they, Coach? What is your official?
We just call him a big.
The big, our power forward, 6'9". Long arms. David, how long have you been playing basketball?
I started playing in 7th grade.
Was you 7 foot tall in the 7th grade?
Nah, I was probably maybe 6'1".
It's in the 7th grade.
6'1". Yeah.
Just almost, David, I think what I've seen you in the junior high, your game has progressed so much where you can handle the ball just as good as a guard, I would say. And is that, you say, your strength of your game? Handling the ball?
I feel like it's definitely something I work on because you got to be able to help the team in every way possible. So, yeah.
No, so speaking to, how the game's changed, I mean, Tuesday when we play Lufkin, they'll have a 6'8" kid that plays on the perimeter, and he's not their post, and they'll run a 5-out offense. And so, like you were saying, back when you and I grew up, I mean, if you were 6'8", 100%, you'd be near the basket the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think some things were really good about that. But I think, like anything else, I mean, any topic we would discuss, things change over time, things evolve, skill development evolves. And so with David, the approach I've tried to take from as soon as I was in contact with David was, we're going to train him to be a basketball player, in a lot of ways like we would everybody else.
Right.
And David has really good skills on the inside, but because he does all the skill development with everybody else, it's paid off over time. He can bring the ball up if we need him to. He's a good decision maker with the ball. He can guard really all the positions defensively. So, yeah, I'm proud of him in that regard, and that's also just how the game has evolved.
Right.
So it's necessary when you have a guy that's got high potential like he does to train him as much as you can, because you don't want to hold him back.
Right,
And
100%. So, David, what is your favorite part of your game?
I like interior to like mid range. It's like where I'm mostly comfortable.
Right.
I feel like that's where I'm mostly effective.
So defensively, you've matured over the last year. Also, you understand keeping your hands out. Let's talk about Tuesday night and then the block. Is that not the most exciting for you, is to block and throw somebody's stuff up on the third floor?
Yeah, for sure. It was like a sequence of blocks, and they were talking too, so it made it more like, significant to me.
So is that something part of your game also? We have discussions with the other team. I know y'all was talking about the gym and where they was going to eat after the game, because that's obviously what we was talking about, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Who is the best smack talker on the team by far?
It's either, I don't even know, to be honest. It's probably between me, Kyson, and Kobe. We probably talk the most. You put Kobe in on that as one of the smack talkers? Yeah.
That's a shocker, isn't it, JR?
I wouldn't pick it. No.
So let's talk a little bit about. I know Coach Walker talks about how smart. What are your grades like?
Right now, they're not really where I want them to be, but they're getting better for sure.
And so that's all A's, low A's, but high A's is coming.
Yes, sir.
I know you're a very smart young man for sure. What are your plans for after school? I know you're just a sophomore, correct?
Yes, sir. After school, I want to play college basketball and then see where it goes from there. But I want to play pro as well.
And I can see that for sure coming out of you. What is their goals for this season?
For this season, really, we're trying to be district champions, and we're also trying to, get past the first round, because that's something like our program hasn't done.
Right.
Like, we don't know the last time somebody's went past first round, so we're trying to be that team to put like a gold ball in the case.
And I see no reason why we can't get past the first round this year, for sure. Coach, we got 2 tough games coming next week, Lufkin and White House.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for both of those teams? You just one at a time.
Well, yeah. Right now, we won't even think about our opponent on Friday until we'll mention it after Tuesday's game. Regardless of the outcome, we'll talk about the next game, and then we'll come in Wednesday and we'll work on some skill development and hit the weight room a little bit, and really be focused on Friday's game. So that's kind of the sequence. We don't really focus on Friday until we get done with Tuesday, because we don't want to look ahead.
Right.
And we really can't afford to. Our district is very competitive, and Friday's game is on the road, and so certainly we want to focus on Lufkin right now, and before we even worry about White House.
So far, and we've had just a couple of games in district. What do you think that we need to work on right now as a team?
We just have to keep our composure, and a lot of times troubles that we have is self-inflicted, and that's not to take away from any other team or anything like that. But we feel like if we control what we can control, our attitude, our effort, our composure, our enthusiasm, those are things that us and us alone control.
Right.
And there's no outside forces that get in the way of those things. If we do those things, then a lot of good things will happen.
Right, for sure.
And that's what we're focused on.
For sure. Well, Coach, appreciate you, David. I know the time just flies by.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all both being here. JR, take us out, my friend.
Well, thank y'all. Bobcats, appreciate you for tuning in for this week's episode of Center Court here with Coach Walker and
David Baliraine.
yeah, there you go. Thank you, guys.